Hey everyone, happy Friday, and this week is another message from the Earthlight Council. Um, they are a hive mind from Fairy that I've been working with over the past few years. And what you are watching in the background is what I did for my spring equinox. If you're wondering what's going on there, it's kind of been one of those weeks, and filming in real life is not happening, so I had this hanging out on SD card and I decided, we'll use this as our background. And part of the reason why I decided to use this as the video for it and do a voiceover is I kind of struggled with this piece this time for spring equinox. There was a process there, and it felt at one point like that process was not going to come through, and I was not going to get something that I was happy with, something that felt right for my spring equinox. And a lot of us are struggling right now with what's going on. And much like art, you kind of just got to keep muddling through it the best you can. Current self-care isn't coping, switch it up. Don't get caught up in this is how I do it. It may need to change a little to get you where you feel better. If something is feeling like, ugh, stop doing it. Don't force yourself to do the self-care that's feeling like, ugh. It's not going to work. And for me, art often reminds me of all of this. It's like this one where I struggled in it. The other weekend, I went to do some self-care and work in my art journal. And for me, that's usually like one place I hit, and I was like, I'm going to do a face. And I started to try and do a face, and it felt like trying to get frozen molasses out of the jar. It just was not coming, and it didn't feel good. So my primary form of self-care is like not feeling good. And so instead of trying to do the face, I switched to something else. I pulled out a bunch of paper and I started doing just color blocking and making marks and getting ready for the 100-day project that starts April 7th that I want to do. It's kind of feeling like a little lifeline right now. So my typical, like doing a face. See, there's two faces right there. I did when I was stuck with that one. See, sometimes, it's like I was stuck with the abstract, so I went and did some faces the other weekend and then went back to my equinox thing. The other weekend, I was stuck on faces, so I went abstract. If your normal go-to is, say, meditation, and all that is doing is fueling the fear, change it. Can you do some movement? Or even maybe movement within that meditation, and not conforming to what you think something has to be. Maybe you just need to tweak it a little to get somewhere else that feels better. And the trick is to know when that's happening. It's not always so easy to feel that. It's like, why isn't, my normal meditation stuff working for me? You just may need to tweak it. If you do a lot of still sitting, maybe you need to do movement meditations. If you do a lot of movement meditations and it's not working, maybe you need to bring in some stillness. Maybe you need to bring in the voice. Look at small ways to make it different and see where that takes you. Small changes can often create huge shifts in energy and thought patterns. We always want that huge ta-da, epiphany, downloaded moment of big awesomeness. But really mostly what we get is small moments of awesomeness. We get small epiphanies that we build upon that create who we become And within that smallness, within those tiny nuanced pieces of life, there's a beauty. And we need to see that beauty, especially right now. Open yourself up to the beauty of your soul. Open yourself up to the beauty of the world, the planet, what surrounds you, your ecosystem. Because there's a beauty in the city, there's a beauty out in the middle of nowhere. They're just different. And it's the remembrance that most of what we get in life are not huge, radical, big changes that come overnight and shake our world. But small, tiny, little nuances. It can be so much nuance than when you get a big paradigm shift plopped upon your head. And all the, you have to really roll if you get something that fast. And a lot of times that's when change feels really difficult, is when you do just kind of lump it all into one and go for that huge shift. When you go for smaller changes within other things and more small changes and let them build, you create new patterns, you create new ways of being with that. And what that does is open you up to new ideas. It lets you as a whole being stay more on the same page. Because many times it's like the energies first, and then it's the spirit, maybe spirit and mind tend to come next, and then you get the body almost always last. So when you have a huge, big kind of shift, everything else is way ahead of the body, and that body takes quite a while to catch up with it. Whereas when you have the smaller shifts, it's easier for all of you to stay on pace all the time more easily. So remember that too if you're struggling right now with your self-care, with what you usually do not working. Things are so intense. And there's a big question marks about what will be. And, it makes sense not to feel super solid in what you know right now or what's happening. And it's okay. Find ways that you can tweak what you're struggling with to make it feel better. Remember that small changes can create big shifts in the end that let you be more integrated in your change. And that's a really lovely thing. Having had both happen to me, I much prefer the nuanced shifts, the smaller things that build on each other, than the big boom right on top of you. It takes a lot more work in the long run to integrate the big change, as opposed to small nuanced changes that build upon each other. Alrighty, everyone, have a wonderful weekend and go out there and be the love in the world. Stay safe, wash your hands. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.